No, and when it comes to voter fraud, this is the other thing that I find fascinating about talking to people who have bought into the narrative. Because again, my gut says that there was fraud, but I'm not running around saying, I guarantee there's fraud and you're ridiculous for saying that this particular piece of evidence is bullcrap. Like, I'm willing to have a conversation and look into it. I think some of the evidence presented is bullcrap, but some of it doesn't look like bullcrap at all. Some of it looks real. But it's interesting how quickly they dismiss the concept that there could be fraud. And I feel like asking people, how would you know? Like, who are you to say, oh, for example, Twitter has this thing when you search, or actually, I think just when you go to explore, they keep repeating this. Mail-in ballots are completely safe and fraud-free, experts say. Experts say mail-in ballots are perfect. Experts say there's never any problems with mail-in ballots. How would you know? How would you know? If you were living in a banana republic where the elections were rigged, would you be the people just going, oh, pshaw, the state newspaper says the elections are fine. The state experts say there's no problems. It's really weird how quickly, to me, what's scary is not that people believe one thing or another. It's the readiness with which they dismiss any questions about it. These are the same people, many of them, who grew up with question authority bumper stickers on their cars, right? And now they're in their 60s or whatever, their 70s, and they're like, well, obviously, there's nothing to question here. Anyone who questions this is a conspiracy theorist and a crazy. And it's like, well, how would you know? Have you seen any real journalism? Has any journalist actually gone in detail, looked at any of this stuff and researched it and said anything? And all of the mailing expert opinions are all based on, if you read any of them, they're all based on past mail-in ballot fraud detection. They're all based on, historically, there has not been a lot of mail-in voting fraud. And I believe that. I believe that historically, there has not been a lot of mail-in voting fraud. Can we have the conversation about how this year is different?
Different?
Can we have the conversation about how everyone and their mother got a mail-in voting ballot, whether they asked for one or not in many places, and there was no special requirements, there's no special dispensation to get a mail-in ballot? Can we talk about the fact that there was probably not a great way to verify the authenticity of these, and even if there was, procedures weren't followed? I mean, Gregory Stenstrom in Pennsylvania testified. By the way, this hearing in Pennsylvania, the things these people said at this hearing, this is testified. They've testified. This is legal. This is like a witness testifying. This is under oath, right? They've testified. You can't lie. They witnessed procedural violations left and right. So the idea that you're crazy for questioning it is one of the scariest zombie movie things I can possibly imagine. It's like we have an entire country full of zombies going, voting is safe, mail-in voting is safe, Biden won, there is no fraud, blah, blah, brains. It's really crazy. It's really crazy to me. I would much rather have both sides questioning the integrity of everything and arguing about it. But
it is like 1984. I know we come back to a lot of these dystopian novels quite a bit, and the ones that we've read in book club the past year and a half. But it reminds me of 1984 with the way they would just change the news, week to week.
Yes.
And people would just go along with it. Yeah. Go right along with it as if they never believed whatever the news is saying today. That's what we believe. We've always been at war with Oceania. And then a week later, we've never been at war with the Oceania. Okay, cool. I believe it.
Yeah. Maybe in 2 or 3 years, the CNN will be telling us, Kamala Harris has always been president. Kamala Harris was voted president. We've always had Kamala Harris as president. We'll see if that happens.
Oh, man. Okay.
But yeah.
So
anyway.
Yeah.
That's all. And by the way, speaking of, because he's on our cover today, speaking of social media's role, Twitter banned the state senator from Pennsylvania. What's his name?
What?
Doug Mastriano. They reinstated it later and said, oops. But they banned his account presumably because he hosted this hearing in Pennsylvania. And by the way, a judge has blocked the certification of Pennsylvania election results. I don't. The idea that looking into this is somehow they put you in the same category as a science denier. They try and create this category of irrationality and say if you question the narrative, you're a crazy irrational person.
Which is
Anyway.
funny because, we don't try and make them feel that way, but in my opinion, it's more applicable to them. If you don't question it, you're crazy.
Oh, totally.
Like I just don't even get you.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
what
I
world
agree.
are you living in where you must be totally checked out and just plugged up to legacy media as your only source of information? I mean, what kind of, like you said, zombie? What kind of zombie are you if you don't question it? I mean, I won't make you feel dumb in conversation. I won't. But I do think that you're checked out, and I do, try to cultivate empathy and all that. But I definitely don't have a lot of respect for you if you're a person who's just like, like, yeah, everything's on the up and up.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
I mean, look, that's the I we didn't actually this is one of the only times we didn't talk about the word that was behind me the other day, but it was vigilance. And the reason I had put it up there was because I was thinking like I was reminded of how important vigilance of the citizenry is if you intend to hold a country, if you intend to hold a republic with like, individual rights and limited government, if you intend to hold that kind of a government, you can only do it if the citizenry remains vigilant. If they're going to check out and parrot CNN, there's nothing you can do. There's no way to hold that country if that's what the population does.
yeah.
And I think that's what many of us are doing.